Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confounded child. Srila Bhachan within the Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. So Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of God is said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy, freedom from envy, and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So please kindly respond and repeat. The Supreme Personality of God had said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. First query one could raise even in the translation is, you guys gender bias. Because it said to godly men. What about godly women? Anyway. So, I'm sorry. See, the scholarly eye is to raise some doubt, is to criticize, is to too much of analytical approach to issues. So this is why the scholars, it's a little bit difficult to attain Krishna consciousness, because everywhere you can always find some fault. But the idea of becoming involved in Krishna consciousness is to enable us to understand that the knowledge that is coming from the absolute truth is in itself perfect, because the Lord is perfect in himself. So it's not the terminologies here don't tend to imply, or the pronoun doesn't imply that females are neglected or they're relegated to the background. It is just that basically just the vocabulary in the statement. There's a difference between the vocabulary in the statement and implicit implication of the statement. So, purport, in the beginning of the 11th chapter, the banyan tree of this material world was explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the activities of the living entities, some auspicious, some inauspicious. In the 9th chapter, also the devas are godly and the asuras. The ungodly or demons were explained. Now, according to Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for the progress on the path of liberation. And such activities are known as Devi Prakriti, transcendental by nature. Transcendental by nature. Devi Prakriti. Those who are situated in transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in this material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals or even lower life forms. In the 16th chapter, the Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities, and the demonic nature and its qualities. He also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities. The word Abhijatasya in reference to one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies is very significant. To beget a child in a godly atmosphere is known in the Vedic scriptures as Garbhadam Sanskar. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of the human being. In the Bhagavad-gita, we have studied also before that sex life for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Sex life is not condemned, provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children like cats and dogs, but should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after birth. That should be the advantage of children born of a father and a mother absorbing Krishna consciousness. The social institution known as Varnashram Dharma, the institution dividing society into 4 divisions of spiritual life and 4 occupational divisions or castes, is not meant to divide human society according to birth. Such divisions are in terms of educational qualifications. They are to keep the society in a state of peace and prosperity. The qualities mentioned herein are explained as transcendental qualities meant for making a person progress in spiritual understanding so that he can get liberated from the material world. In a Varnashram institution, the sannyas, or the person in the renounced order of life, is considered to be the head or the spiritual master of all the social statuses and orders. A Brahmana is considered to be the spiritual master of the 3 other sections of a society, namely the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. But a sannyasi who is on the top of the institution is considered to be a spiritual master of the Brahmanas also. For a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness. Because the sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renounced order of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within, that he is seeing everything and he always knows what one intends to do One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna, as Paramatma, will take care of a soul surrendered unto him. I shall never be alone. One should think, even if I live in the darkest regions of forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhaya, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renouncement of life. Then he has to purify his existence. There are so many rules and regulations to be followed in the renouncement of life. Most important of all, a sannyasi is strictly forbidden to have an intimate relationship with a woman. He is even forbidden to talk with a woman in a secluded place. Lord Chaitanya was an ideal sannyasi, and when he was at Puri, his feminine devotees could not even come near to offer their respects. They were advised to bow down from a distant place. This is not a sign of hatred for women as a class, but it is a stricture imposed on the sannyasi not to have close connections with women. One has to follow the rules and regulations of a particular status of life in order to purify his existence. For a sannyasi, intimate relations with women and possession of wealth for one's gratification are strictly forbidden. The ideal sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya himself, and we can learn from his life that he was very strict in regards to women. Although he is considered to be the most liberal incarnation of Godhead, accepting the most fallen conditioned souls, he strictly followed the rules and regulations of the sannyas order of life in connection with association with women. One of his personal associates, namely Chota Haridas, was associated with Lord Chaitanya along with his other confidential personal associates. But somehow or other, this Chota Haridas looked lustily on a young woman, and Lord Chaitanya was so strict that he at once rejected him from the society of his personal associates. Lord Chaitanya said, for a sannyasi or anyone who is aspiring to get out of the clutches of material nature and trying to elevate himself to the spiritual nature and go back to Godhead, for him, looking toward material possessions and women for sense gratification, not even enjoying them, but just looking toward them with such a propensity is so condemned that he had better commit suicide before experiencing such illicit desires. So, these are the processes for purification. The next term is Jnana Yoga, Yogastiti, being engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. Sannyas life is meant for distributing knowledge to the householders and others who have forgotten their real life of spiritual advancement. A sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door for his livelihood, but this does not mean that he is a beggar. Humility is also one of the qualifications of a transcendentally situated person. And out of sheer humility, the sannyasi goes from door to door, not exactly for the purpose of begging, but to serve the householders and awaken them to Krishna consciousness. This is the duty of a sannyasi. If he is actually advanced and so ordered by his spiritual master, he should preach Krishna consciousness with logic and understanding. And if one is not so advanced, he should not accept the life, he should not accept the renounced order of life. But even if one has accepted the renounced order of life without sufficient knowledge, he should engage himself fully in hearing from a bona fide spiritual master to cultivate knowledge. A sannyasi, or one who is in the renounced order of life, must be situated in fearlessness, sattva samsuddhi, purity, and jnana yoga, knowledge. The next term is charity. Charity is meant for the householders. The householders should earn a livelihood by an honorable means and spend 50% of their income to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. Thus, a householder should give in charity to institutional societies that are engaged in that way. Charity should be given to the right receiver. There are different kinds of charity, as will be explained later on. Charity in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Charity in the mode of goodness is recommended by the scriptures. For charity in the modes of passion and ignorance is not recommended because it is simply a waste of money. Charity should be given only to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. That is charity in the mode of goodness. Then, as far as Dharma, self-control, is concerned, it is not only meant for other orders of religious society, but is especially meant for the householder. Although he has a wife, a householder should not use his wife for sex life unnecessarily. There are restrictions for the householders even in sex life. We should only be engaged in for the propagation of children. If he does not require children, he should not enjoy sex life with his wife. Modern society enjoys sex life with contraceptive methods or more abominable methods, so to avoid the responsibility of children. This is not in the transcendental quality, but is demoniac. If anyone, even if he is a householder, wants to make progress in spiritual life, he must control his sex life and should not beget a child without the purpose of serving Krishna. If he is able to beget children who will be in Krishna consciousness, one can produce hundreds of children, but without this capacity, one should not indulge only for sense pleasure. Sacrifice is another term to be performed. Sacrifice is another item to be performed by the householders, because sacrifice requires a large amount of money. Those in other orders of life, namely brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas, have no money. They live by begging. So performance of different types of sacrifice is meant for the householders. They should perform Agnihotra sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literature. But such sacrifices at the present moment are very expensive, and it is not possible for any householder to perform them. The best sacrifice recommended in this age is called Sankirtan Yajna. This Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the best and most inexpensive sacrifice. Everyone can adopt it and derive benefit. So these three items, namely charity, sense control, and performance of sacrifice, are meant for the householders. Then, Swadhyaya, Vedic study, is meant for brahmacharya or student life. Brahmacharis should have no connection with women. They should live a life of celibacy and engage the mind in the study of Vedic literature for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is called Swadhyaya. Tapas, or austerity, is especially meant for the retired life. One should not remain a householder throughout his whole life. He must always remember that there are 4 divisions of life: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and science. So after grihastha, household life, one should retire. If one lives for 100 years, he should spend 25 years in student life, 25 years in household life, 25 in retired life, and 25 in the renouncement of life. These are the regulations of the Vedic religious discipline. A man retired from household life must practice austerities. It's a long one.
You can choose if you like.
Huh?
You can. Up to you.
Yeah, let me just go through everything. It's interesting. Almost. Body, mind, and tongue. That is tapasya. In other words, controlling body, mind, and tongue. All this stuff. That is tapasya. The entire Varnashram Dharma society is meant for tapasya. Without tapasya or austerity, no human being can get liberation. The theory that there is no need of austerity in life, that one can go on speculating and everything will be nice, is recommended neither in the Vedic literature nor in the Bhagavad-gita. Such theories are manufactured by show-bottled spiritualists who are trying to gather more followers. If there are restrictions, rules, and regulations, people will not become attracted. Therefore, those who want followers in the name of religion just have to show only don't restrict the lives of their students, nor their own lives. But that method is not approved by the Vedas. Okay, so just some few paragraphs more, so let me just finish everything. As far as Brahmanical quality of simplicity is concerned, not only should a particular order of life follow this principle, but every member, be he in the brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyas ashram, one should be very simple and straightforward. Ahimsa means not arresting the progressive life of any living entity. One should think that since the spirit spark is neither killed, even after the killing of the body, there is no harm to killing animals for sense gratification. People are now addicted to eating animals, in spite of having an ample supply of grains, fruits, and milk. There is no necessity for animal killing. This injunction is for everyone. When there is no alternative, one may kill an animal, but it should be offered in sacrifice. At any rate, when there is an ample supply for humanity, persons who are desiring to make advancement in spiritual realization should not commit violence to animals. Real ahimsa means not checkmating or not checking anyone's progressive life. The animals are also making progress in their evolutionary life by transmigrating from one category of animal life to another. If a particular animal is killed, then his progress is checked. If an animal is staying in a particular body for so many days or so many years, and he is untimely killed, then he has to come back again in that form of life to complete the remaining days in order to be promoted to another species of life. So their progress should not be checked simply to satisfy one's palate. This is called ahimsa. Satyam. This word means that one should not distort the truth for personal interest. In Vedic literature, there are some difficult passages, but the meaning and the purpose should be learned from a bona fide spiritual master. That is the process for understanding the Vedas. Shruti means that one should hear from the authority. One should not construe some interpretation for his personal interest. There are so many commentaries on the Bhagavad-gita. There are so many commentaries on Bhagavad-gita that misinterpret the original text. The real purport of the word should be presented, and that should be learned from a bona fide spiritual master. Akrodas means to check anger. Even if there are provocations, one should be tolerant. For once one becomes angry, his whole body becomes polluted. Anger is a product of the mode of passion and lust. So one who is transcendentally situated should check himself from anger. Apesuna means that one should not find fault with others or correct them unnecessarily. Of course, to call a thief a thief is not fault finding, but to call an honest person a thief is very much offensive for one who is making advancement in spiritual life. Re means that one should be very modest and must not perform some act which is abominable. Achapalam, determination, means that one should not be agitated or frustrated in some attempt. There may be failure in some attempt, but one should not be sorry for that. He should make progress with patience and determination. The word tejas used here is meant for the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas should always be very strong to be able to give protection to the weak. They should not pose themselves as non-violent. If violence is required, they must exhibit it. But the person who is able to keep down his enemy may, under certain conditions, show forgiveness. He may execute minor offenses. Socham means cleanliness, not only in mind and body, but in one's dealings also. It is especially meant for the mercantile people who should not deal in the black market. Nati manita, not expecting honor, applies to the Sudras, the worker class, which are considered, according to the Vedic injunctions, to be the lowest of the four classes. They should not be purified, they should not be puffed up with unnecessary prestige or honor, and should remain in their own status. It is the duty of Sudras to offer respect to the higher class for the upkeep of the social order. All these 26 qualifications mentioned are transcendental qualities. They should be cultivated according to the different statuses of social and occupational order. The purport is that even though material conditions are miserable, if these qualities are developed by practice by all classes of men, then gradually it is possible to rise to the highest platform of transcendental realization. What's the time now?
10 to 7. 10 to 7.
We started the class at 6 o'clock. So we're supposed to start at 7, start up some at 7, right?
7:30.
Oh. Be careful. All right. Omakiana Timirandasya, Yana Jana Salakaya, Sakso Militam, Jana Tasmai, Sikavina. Suchitaya Manovistam, Stafitam, Jana Boot, Swayam Rupam Kadamayam, Padanti Swa, Padantika. Panchakalpataribhya cha Kripa Sunubhya Eva cha Patatanam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhistaya Bhutale Sena Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itanam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Vicharam Sesa Sunila Prasita Disatara Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Sri Sadguru Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare. So welcome everyone to the Matchless Gifts, 26th Avenue here. I'm happy to be back to New York. I've been away for like 3 months or so to India, and just thinking of leaving Mayapur or Vrindavan, it was heartbreaking. At some point, I just said maybe I should just extend my stay, but then I was thinking, oh, my ticket would be wasted, and some young person who is just trying to, make ends meet, pay for the ticket. I said, I can't sacrifice this. So I said, I have to come back. And because of, I wanted to also come back to have association with all of you. So, it was a pleasurable
His Holiness Bhakti Vasudeva Swami ki jai. Welcome back, Maharaj.
Thank you. It was a pleasurable trip, and we encourage all of you. The idea of being in a religious tradition is also to make some time to go for pilgrimage. The Muslims, they do it. They go to Mecca. The Christians, they do it. They go to Jerusalem and some other places. And so in our own tradition also, Lord Chaitanya Prabhupada recommended that we should find time. In fact, when Prabhupada was on the planet, he would urge practically everyone who is not engaged in some tied down activity to come to Mayapur for the Guru Purnima festival. So our plea is that when you're making your schedule, try to make some strategic plan and put visiting the dam or a pilgrimage to the holy places, especially Mayapur and Vrindavan. Put that in your schedule, in your strategic plan schedule, because it's so important. When you go to these places, you realize the potency of the place, and you really will feel the effect of the field theory. Professor Verwin the German psychologist in 1939 developed the field theory. Also we find that
what?
The field theory.
Field.
The field theory is about the fact that in any environment there are environmental forces that impact on us. So the idea is if you go into a cold room, you may not want to be you may not want to get cold, but you're in a cold room. No matter how many jackets you put on, if you stay there for long, you'll be affected by the cold. If you go into the sun, and fortunately and unfortunately during the summer, you don't have the whole place is not. We have Prabhupada calls it sky conditioner. You don't have air conditioning outside there. Okay. And so you feel the heat, you absorb the heat of the sun. So that is all about the field. And so you go to the holy place where Krishna's names, activities are being performed, worship is being performed, the environment is surcharged with spiritual energy. And if you go to these places, like Mayapur and Vrindavan, I mean, you feel the impact. You definitely will feel the impact. The problem is, if you go, it is very difficult to live. It's very difficult to live. So anyway, we encourage all of you to think about visiting the Holy Dam, at least this lifetime. People make plans to go, to places to enjoy life during vacations. People travel from here to Mauritius. They travel from London to Mauritius to enjoy their vacations. When I was going to Mauritius, I saw a number of people traveling. You ask them, where are you going for vacation? Where are you going for vacation? We should also plan our vacation. We should spend it in the Holy Dam. So back to the point. This is a very critical text because there are so many injunctions that are delineated here. And we try to follow these injunctions and the people say, hey, you guys are crazy. And in India especially, prior to the establishment of Krishna consciousness in the West, the sciences were super strict. Super strict. In the Vedic in the Bhagavatam, it's also mentioned that you cannot sit even in the same bench with your mother. So I remember one time, I went with some devotees to visit my parents some years ago, and then I don't know where my mom got the idea, and so we went there, and then she was asking one of the devotees that, can I hug him? So he said, he's still your son. So it's been a very strict system all along. And when Prabhupada even allowed women to come and live in the ashram, people criticize him heavily. Even up to now, in some ashrams in India, you don't find women living in the ashram. You go to a place like Chopati, you don't find women living in the ashram. And I remember when I was in Mayapur, I observed that even some of the roads, they have closed the roads because it's brahmachari ashrams. So I was making fun that, hey, you are overprotecting the brahmacharis. They should prove their worth by themselves. So the system was very strict. So you find all of these delineations here. Yeah, the system was very strict, and it's still very strict. I remember the case of Rupa Goswami. So when I know, some of you must have heard about Meera. She was a great artist, a very great singer. So Meera, at some point in time of her life, she went to Vrindavan. At that time, Rupa Goswami also was there with the other 6 Goswamis. So Meera sent a message to Rupa Goswami that she wants to have Rupa Goswami's darshan. Rupa Goswami is our principal acharya in the discipline succession. Hear this. So, when Meera sent a message to Rupa Goswami responded back that, I am a sannyasi. I don't give darshan to women. So, Meera responded that, oh, this sounds great, but you know what? I thought that we are all Prakriti and Krishna is the only Purusha. So when did you change your status? I thought that we are all Prakriti. Krishna is the only enjoyer. We are all females. And guess what Rupa Goswami's response was? Rupa Goswami is the, he is the best of the Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. So when Mira, challenged him like this, guess what happened? What did Rupa Goswami say? What did he do? Can anyone guess? I know you don't know, but guess.
He admitted that Mira was right.
He gave her
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. He responded that, yes, you're right. That was the foremost of all the chariots. So just to show how the system was very based on high restrictions. But when Prabhupada came to the West to preach, in order to be able to make Krishna consciousness available, he allowed females to stay in the ashram as brahmacharinis. He encouraged women, even with their husbands, to go and establish temples and to go and preach. Encouraged women to go and distribute books and go and preach and make devotees. The system, it wasn't like that. It's only the acharya who can tweet, but does not change the essence. So we have a number of instructions that Prabhupada has given here based on the connotative meaning of the term or the terminologies that Krishna used in this verse. There are two ways to define a word. There's a denotative meaning and there's a connotative meaning. Denotative means the literal meaning. And the connotative meaning is in the contextual meaning. And so here, Prabhupada is giving an explanation to all of this that Krishna has used in his three texts. Prabhupada is giving a connotative meaning of each and every word that Krishna has used. Now, this is the difference of someone who is trying to study the Vedic literature by themselves and someone who is trying to study the Vaishnava system under the auspices, under the mentorship of a spiritual master. Because if you just hear these words of Lord Krishna, we can go about speculating. We can just attribute denotative meanings to these words. When you see what Prabhupada gives, all of the meanings that Prabhupada gave, we are relating to pure devotional service. And so the Varnashram system is there, and each and every person who is in the Vaishnava system, we have our responsibilities. But the responsibilities are simply meant to be able to enhance sustainability of our Krishna consciousness. Sustainability here means we are trying to perform service in Krishna consciousness, bearing in mind that whatever we do should not interfere with the spiritual happiness of any devotee. In other words, it's like we're doing some services, but we're trying to be sure that we don't broach someone along the way. Why? Because if we do that, we get some terrible reactions, terrible repercussions. Because the Vaishnava is a real soul, or the Vaishnava is a real soul. And therefore, all of these different occupational ashrams, occupational leanings, and the spiritual leanings, they are meant to gradually elevate us to the point of remembering Krishna all the time. In other words, Krishna is the center of the Varnashram system. Varnashrama Charavati. So, if we forget about Krishna, if we brush aside Krishna, then the Varnashram simply becomes a caste system. A caste system is based on I was born, my mother is a Brahmin, my father is a Brahmin, so I'm born by these two people, I'm a Brahmin. It's like someone saying, my father is a lawyer, My mother is a lawyer. I am born, I didn't go to school, but I'm a lawyer. So, the whole thing is about, Papa mentioned in the text here, is about education. It's not about birth. I am born, if my parents are doctors, it doesn't make me a doctor. I have to go to medical school. But in America, before you go to medical school, you have to acquire a first degree first. And Switzerland is different from England. Or it's different to England. In England, when you finish your advanced diploma, you could go to a college, you could go to medical school. So, the cultural settings are not the same. But then the whole thing is about education, to train people to have specific skill sets to create a positive change in their lives and the community. So in Krishna consciousness is also about, envisaging a progressive future, like Prabhupada used the word a progressive future. And so it's about envisaging a progressive future for the individual and for society. Because if we don't create a progressive future for the individual, then society will just be a mess. It will be like, we're professing something that we don't have living examples. And so, this system is very relevant to changing and redirecting society. The whole idea of these meditations is to raise people's standards. Because if we say, well, this person is a Sudra, this person is a Vaishya, this person is this and whatever, a Kshatriya. And in Kali Yuga, Kalo Sudra Sambhava, everyone is a Sudra. We may think, well, and this you find this type of mindsets even right now in India. Someone thinks that once they are born in a particular family, they merit all the qualities of that status. But he doesn't work like that. So Krishna consciousness, we have to understand that according to the Shastra, in Kali Yuga, we are all Sudras. Perhaps worse than Sudras. And so that should give us an understanding to be humble. And if we are humble, and we cannot really be humble without really having an understanding of our Christian identity. Because if we understand our Christian identity, we are so minuscule, we are so small, a speck. What is the size of the jiva? Yes? What is the size of the jiva?
In the material world, it's 1/10,000th the size of the
Yeah, 1/10,000 the tip of the air. So that is our status. That is how big we are. So think about it. If people don't have this higher understanding, then there's a problem. People will not have, despite notwithstanding their class or their social status, we will not have respect for other people because we're thinking we are big. But 1/10,000 the tip of the air. That's how big we are. Now, this body that we have is just a facade. Because these bodies will fail us. So when people understand their real identity, then they don't identify themselves with this different caste, with these divisions in society. In fact, Lord Chaitanya said he is none of these. He is not a sannyasi, he is not a brahmana, he is not a brahmachari, he is not a vanaprastha, he is not a kshatriya, he is none of that. He is what? Dasa, dasa, anudasa. Krishna, dasa, dasa, anudasa. A servant of the servant of the servant. And sometimes we tend to display this type of humility, and we ask somebody, I remember, and I do this a lot, that was very offensive to people, especially when one devotee was just telling him in England, London, that he came to see me, and we're discussing. I think some things came up, and then he said, "Yeah, I remember how he used to act in getting angry. That he came, we are in a festival, and then he said he came to me and said, "Oh, Vasudeva, how can I serve you?" Then I told him, "Okay, do this service." So then he just busted out laughing. So I said, "You're not ready to serve, and you're asking me, how can I serve you?" Just to display the quality of dasa anudasa. So we have to be practical. The things we cannot do, we should understand that we're not going to do it, or we cannot do it. Instead of asking, someone close by, how can I serve you? Or you go to meet the manager, what service can I render? I remember also when I was in Africa, I was temple president in one temple, and one devotee came to me that, yeah, Basile, what service can I do? I said, there are so many services. You really mean that you want to do some service? He said, yes. So I signed some service to him, and he just said, he started to give me explanation here and there, and I said, please, don't do this next time. You're not ready for something, don't pretend about it. But the point is, we should have an identity and align with the system. Because without rendering service, especially for those who are initiated or those who are aspiring to be initiated, a disciple should render service to their spiritual master, to help their spiritual master, to serve their spiritual master. Now, we see how the society was built. This is we read from the literatures, we know the history, how the society was built. Proper disciples, they were going out even in the snow to sell Prabhupada's books. That's how the society was built. This is how the society was grounded. So if you are taking initiation, what is your service to your spiritual master? Not after a month, not after 1 year. Daily. What is your service to your spiritual master? Because this is all the components of the Varnashram system. You may not be living in the temple, but you belong somewhere in the Varnashram system. A devotional service, to be a disciple, is to be disciplined. To be disciplined means you have to really dispense of your own comforts and align with the system. So we see how the disciples they really gave their life. That requires a lot of austerities, transcendental austerities. So we should also think about what our responsibilities are based on our status. We are brahmacharis, we are sannyasis, we are grihastas, or brahmanas, whatever. And so the important thing here is about how to utilize every time of our day to think ways on how to help out to make a difference. Essence of an ashram system is coordinated efforts, coordination of services to be able to make a positive, sustainable spiritual future for the society and for the individual. And so there are so many rules. And we could just say, well, the rules are our life and soul. Good. But what is the goal? So, but like in the case of Rupa Goswami, he was following the standard very strictly. But here a woman corrects him that, hey, the rules are not are in themselves not enough. What is the ultimate goal? Because success in itself means, accomplishing goals and mission. And so what is the mission of the Lord? What is the mission of Prabhupada? What are the goals of Prabhupada? What are his mission statements? So these are the things we should look at. Otherwise, even these rules we can follow. Can we follow? You have a wife, beautiful wife, a handsome husband. Yeah, you will not have fun. Huh? until you want a baby. And if you want a baby, that also you have to chant so many rounds. And some people, we can't even chant 16 rounds. So spiritual life is so cheap, it's so easy, isn't it? Devotional service is so easy, it's so cheap, isn't it? So, yeah. Let's admit that we are unqualified. Let's admit that we don't even fit into the Varnashram system. But we can do something. We can be useful instruments in serving the mission of Prabhupada. And then we become purified, become elevated, and in this very lifetime, we can go home back to God. Prabhupada had mentioned that those who stay in this system, this is a very rare airplane, very rare, beyond first class, going to the spiritual world. So if you sit down and you buckle up your seat belts, never mind the hurdles that you may pass through as the plane cruises in the sky, and you get there. And that means we have to be able to do some regular service. Because everything else we are talking becomes philosophy without, doing some service for our own purification. Everything else becomes philosophy. And philosophy doesn't really take us to anywhere. There's so many philosophers. Huh? Philosophy is different from wisdom. You can be a philosopher and you're not a wise person. So we speak so much that what are the practical things we are doing to purify ourselves? Okay, I may say, well, I cannot sweep the temple every day. Okay, how many hours is that? How many hours do you use to sweep in the temple? 15 minutes. That should take you back to God, right? This is a joke. So devotional service means we are in a Varnashram system, and the whole idea is to become purified through substantial service, qualitative and quantitative service. Qualitative and quantitative service. Because if we are not doing that, it becomes like, we don't understand why we are coming here. So if you have been coming here, see, Prabhupada, some of them, I remember in one case, Prabhupada was sitting down, giving a class, someone who was drunk, he came in, he brought tissue papers and put it in the toilet there. And then he walked out. He walked out. He didn't wait for prasadam. He just walked out. But he gets purification because there is service attitude. So all of this Varnashram system is meant to encourage us to become service-oriented and become elevated in Krishna consciousness. Any comments or questions? If you want, when you go back, you can go to your homes, you can reread the whole papa because it's really packed, fully packed, heavily loaded. Yes. Savannah, that's your name?
Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. It's a fearfulness to have Krishna with you all the time for you not to fear, correct?
Fearlessness.
Fearlessness. Does that mean you can't be scared? Like, is there a difference? Like, if you get scared, is that showing Krishna that you don't trust him, or you don't have him in your heart?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you see, why are we afraid? Why are we fearful? We are fearful because we have a bunch of carried over sinful reactions. And those sinful reactions, they are haunting us. Physically, we may not know, but the jiva, the entity, the living entity, he knows. And so that instigates some fear. Even the ordinary animals, if you go, for instance, to a place like in India or Africa or South America, even here in America, if you go to a place like Gittinangri, you see these deers, they are crossing the road. They don't walk majestically across the road. They go at a jet speed. Why? They're afraid. They're afraid someone may come to harm them. Why they are in those bodies? Due to sinful reactions from the past life. And so that energy of fear, it just is inherent in us because we are afraid of the sinful reactions that are waiting for us. Now, the position of a devotee, or specifically here it is mentioned of a sannyasi, you're not supposed to have any fear. Why? Philosophically, you understand. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is in the heart. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Ishvara Sabra Bhutanam, Rideshu Arjuna Tistati. Krishna is in the heart. Krishna is supreme also, according to Lord Brahma. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the supreme. But that Krishna is also located in the heart region as the super soul. And so when you have the most powerful person around you, do you have any cause to fear? No. So, we need to be reminded that Krishna is with us and there's no cause to be afraid if we rely on Him and take shelter of Him. So everyone is afraid. There are the little things that trigger off so much of fear, so much of panic. And it's just natural. Because we are trying to run away from Krishna. We are trying to take shelter of illusory energy. And so that fear haunts us like anything. Because we know, we means the jivas within the body. The jiva knows, this body is trying to engage me in sinful activities. Oh, it's a whole bunch of horrors coming, man. I mean, it's like, a child is someplace and then they see some ferocious animal. What do? Oh, what is this? Yeah. So we are also like that. But then that mindset, that mood of being afraid or being in a mood of fearfulness, it becomes dissipated if we are first, when we understand who we are and how the Lord in the heart as the super soul is always guiding us, is always with us. Then we be able to gradually transcend that state of fear. Yeah, so we all have that fear. When something strikes, when some bad omen strikes, we are afraid. Something happens, we are afraid. We have a good car, we are afraid of losing it. We have a good spouse, we are afraid of losing him or her. Oh yeah. We have a good friend, we are afraid of losing that person. So fear is always there in the material world. So don't think that this is something strange. But it is strange when people become fearless. Because of the Krishna factor. They know that whatever that is happening is ultimately to my best interest. And when they align strictly with the tradition, with the standard, then, Krishna turns things around. A number of people who have come to our movement, they've seen things. And that gives them a lot of very powerful realizations that they stick onto the system. Yeah. Sometimes the fear does not allow us to become self-liberated, but persistently we should not give in to that. We may have agitations for due to fear, but we should not succumb to the pressure of fear. That is the use of the intelligence, is for discrimination. I know. All right. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So in the purport, charity was brought up, and it explained that the mode of goodness is propagating Krishna consciousness. I was curious what examples are of charity in the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance.
Well, I'll give you an example of charity in the mode of passion. You see some beggar on the road is eating a chicken, and you give him some money.
And what about for ignorance?
Ignorance. You are aiding someone. You're giving some Someone wants some money, but he goes into prostitution to use it for sinful activities. That is why it's recommended that if people are charitably disposed, but sometimes the charity is misdirected. So you give your resources, give your money to agents whom you know they're not going to use your money to go and engage in sinful activities. If they engage in sinful activities, that's charity. You perform charity, you're thinking you're doing a great deal, but it's in mode of ignorance because it gets you entangled. You give the money to someone who is eating chicken, and then you want everyone to see that. Hey, look at me. I'm very charitably disposed. I'm helping this guy take some money. You want people to see you. That's charity in the mode of passion.
When you want someone to see you.
Yeah, you want some results.
But what if you're just doing it to help this person?
You're just doing to help this person. Yeah, you have to look at the content. What am I doing? I'm giving him some food. I'm giving him some meat. That's also charity. But you're just adding trouble to his trouble. See, the whole spiritual culture is very, very difficult. If someone tells you it's not difficult, forget it. I tell you one thing. I tell you one thing. You see, when I just read Prabhupada's books I bought from some devotees, I was just so voracious. That I was a young man in my 20s, middle 20s. I was so voracious to read. And then I saw so much of detail, especially with this charity. Okay, I said, what? I can't cope with this. Let me just go full time so that nobody comes to worry me for anything.
But if you give them food, it's okay. As long as
if you give them food, if it is not meat, it's okay.
Right.
If you give them prasadam, it's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, but see,
not money.
Money, you can also give money, but if you know what the end use of that money.
You don't know what they're using it for.
Okay,
you have no idea.
Because I cannot tell you don't give money, okay? But if you know what the end use of that money, that is not going to you're not going to share the reaction. See, in law, there are lawyers here. There is this principle of what do you call it?
Accomplice.
Yeah, an accomplice. So if someone goes to rob a bank with some guns, and then they discovered the police in their investigation, they found out that someone sponsored that gun. Although he did not or she did not personally go to the bank to rob with the armed robber, he aided it. He aided the robbery. So he is an accomplice.
So this is what happens to us.
That is why the material life is so material to live on this planet is so difficult. There are so many subtle laws. It's just so complex. You tell me the ordinary person out there, they don't know this.
Oh, I saw Brahmachari someone donated cookies and he took it, but later he trashed it, and I was just like, I can give that to a homeless person. And he said, no, it's best to just throw it out,
No. You see, it's not best to throw it out because that is someone's resource. If you're not ready to take it, okay. And if you take it and you're not ready to eat it, and you just throw it out, you help the person by throwing it out. But if you are sure they don't contain, for instance, things like eggs.
No, it definitely had eggs.
Okay, so if it contains eggs, it's not good because it's like you're administering poison to someone. Yeah. Someone gives you poison and you're administering the poison to someone else. So that his action was appropriate. Yeah. So, shall we? Is it up to 7:30?
We're about there.
Okay.
There's a question.
Huh? Okay.
I have a couple questions. Simplicity was mentioned in the purport, but it wasn't really explained. So I was wondering if you could say what it really meant.
Yeah, simplicity. Basically, Papa, we have a motto in ISKCON is simple living and high thinking. In other words, we should be modest. Modesty implies that although we are very great, although we are very rich, we try to play it down. We try to play it down. We don't show show the people that, we are very different from other people. We try to be simple. It's like, you see some university professor, he has a PhD, and then, he doesn't come to show up on the road, or when he comes to the family, he doesn't come to show up in the family. He's just simple in the family. He plays with the grandchild climbs on him, and, shake his ear all over the place. That is simplicity. You may know so much, you may have so much of high information culture, but, you are simple at heart. Does it make some sense? Yeah. It is very difficult to find people who have high profile information culture and they're simple. Simple also means, for instance, our motto, simple living. We live very simply. You come to the devotee home, you don't see, cables all over the place, busy watching. But it's not only devotees. I met one professor some years ago. I went for upstate New York for a women's conference, and this female professor, one white lady, she was the dean of one of the social science faculties in our university. But although she has all the resources, she told me the simple life they were living in the home. The husband is a businessman, but then the kids, the older kid will come to react sometimes because she is living a very simple life. But if you cross her in the wrong way, then you realize that, she's a dean of faculty. Someone is simple. Don't take the person for a fool or that he's stupid. That's why also sometimes people are humble and people just take advantage of them. The Prabhupada said, what's the name of this animal, this snake? That sometimes you have to act like that snake. They're throwing so much of, they're spitting on you, throwing so much of things. So he shakes up his head and everybody runs away because they're afraid. Yeah, so to be simple, that helps to invoke some type of inner balance, because if you're simple, you don't really encounter so much of negative projections on you, because people want a situation where they can oppose or try to cause some harm if the person is feeling that they're too great. And even you have all of the things that you need in life, and you're still you're living like a mediocre type of life. You don't show it to people. You are able to associate with people who are even less privileged and all those things. Yes, you're simple. But being simple is different from simplistic. I'm sorry. Let's not go to the semantics. Yeah. So our lifestyle is a good measurement of simplicity. The type of lifestyle we're living. Whether we're showing off or we are minimizing the fever. Okay?
One more thing, why was not desiring honor is only for Shudras? I don't know.
Not what?
Not desiring honor, why is it only for Shudras?
We are all Sudras. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. We are all Sudras. Not desiring honor. The Prabhupada mentioned, because the Sudras, we are like, in the Vedic culture, the Sudras were the workers. The Brahmanas were not working. The Kshatriyas, we are protectors. So the Sudras are the people who are working. So, but then the people who have the expertise, they want some honor, And this is me, give me some promotion. I did this, respect what I've done. Honor me. If you're a simple what do you call it? A simple devotee, dasa anudas, whom do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want with the harm? And so it basically means people who are not Krishna conscious. In that context, it basically means people who are not Krishna conscious, we want honor. And because we are all Sudras in Kali Yuga, we want honor. I did this service, please honor me. Announce my name, I gave this amount of donations. I built this temple. Recognize me. I suffered so much. I got this, temple set up. It's my money. Honor me. I collected all the donations to build this temple. Honor me. So that your question invokes a lot of, thought provocation. It looks like a simple question, but that's why I said, I just quoted that in Kali Yoga we are all Sudras. The honor, you look around, even our society, you look around. Does it make some meaning? Yep. All right. Someone was raising her hand there. It's okay?
Yeah.
You got your answers?
I'm okay.
All right. We shall end the class here, and I will continue from there to other aspects of the program. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.